You hankering to write your book, but you don't know where to start? I totally get this because I felt the same way before I wrote my book, The Year of Fears. You can search YouTube and figure it out, but there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of resources. So how do you sift through it all to decide what is the best route? Then there's writer's block. Is it real? Yes, of course it is. Well, on today's show, my guest, Kristy Boyd Johnson, is going to share some tips that will help you get started writing your book and sharing your story with the world. I'm your hostess, Lynda Sunshine West. I love helping driven women entrepreneurs gain confidence to ask for their worth, clarity to attract clients to them, and focus to get faster results. I do this with my online women's mastermind and accountability program. I'm with you every step of the way. Who you know who is in need of confidence, clarity, and or focus, send them over to womenactiontakers.com for more details. We're going to welcome Kristy Boyd Johnson to the show. Now, she's an accomplished writer across multiple genres. She has a passion for writing children's books with a light touch that leave you wondering about possibilities. She has ghostwritten over 20 nonfiction books, and now she helps entrepreneurs write their expert books. Additionally, Kristy is an honors graduate of National University's School of Professional Studies and holds an M.F.A. in Professional Screenwriting. Personally, Kristy is an avid reader, loves swimming and yoga and playing with her improv group, and lives with her family in San Diego. To sign up for her free video series called How to Write, Totally Crush Your Expert Book While Still Running Your Biz and Having a Life, go to livingliveinc.com/new author. And let's welcome Kristy to the show. Hello.
Hi, Lynda.
I gotta tuck my head down a little bit. So if you have writer's block, or you know somebody who you say you need to write a book, and they say, I know, have them watch this video. Please share this out. This is going to be a very helpful, a lot of great tips that you're going to learn today, about writer's block, how to, get beyond that. And so, Kristy, welcome to the show. And finally, we made it happen. We were supposed to do this interview like a week ago or so, and I was having internet problems. So we're at the mercy of the internet, when we do these live videos, but when it happens, yes, we're there.
Yes. Hi, Lynda. It's so nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. Now, I want to know, I would love for you to tell us, how did you get into this? And then you're going to share with us some easy tips on, how to break through that writer's block. But how did you get into this aspect of it? Because, you're a writer, but what makes somebody say, you know what, I'm going to start teaching others?
Well, actually, my former profession was as a teacher. When I was in my 20s and I was kind of a new teacher, I was realizing that the kids that I was teaching were enjoying the stories that I made up more than they were liking the books that were on the shelves. So I decided to start learning how to do it. I started out with children's books. So yeah, I like a challenge, which is a very challenge. That's a tough gig, children's books. You have to really know what you're doing. But what I also found was that my personal life at the time, I was married to a rather abusive person. And in the course of doing all that, of realizing that I could write stories and that I was really loving it, it also helped me realize I needed to get out of that marriage because I was so stifled in that environment. And when I did that, it was almost kind of miraculous. People started coming to me and saying, oh, would you write a book for me? And I sort of fell into not writing nonfiction, ghostwriting nonfiction, actually, for people who had businesses. So I loved doing that. And I found that writing nonfiction was considerably easier than writing fiction. So I wrote a bunch of books for a lot of people, but all those years that I was teaching, I was always thinking, how can I combine my two loves together? Because I really do love to teach. My favorite thing in the world is when someone goes, oh, I get it. Something I say sparks something in them, and they just go off and running with that idea and create something of their own. It's pretty cool. So that's how I got into it, and that's how it kind of. A few years ago, my mom took a bad fall, and I had to stop teaching. I had no choice. I became a 24/7 caregiver like that. And so I decided that was a message from the universe. Now is the time. So I created a way to teach entrepreneurs how to write their book, which is a learnable skill, very learnable skill, by, with what works, what doesn't, the big mistakes everybody makes that must be avoided, and how to make those mistakes work for you. First is awareness, then is knowing how to turn it around and make it not a mistake, make it work for you, make that book fly. And so I created my new author project, and I created my Crush Your Expert book course online to make it easy. And it also has lots and lots and lots of live coaching, because I believe that nothing beats having a live teacher to help you along the way. And then once people have learned it, they have a skill that they can use anytime they want to write another book. So that's where we are. I lost you. Okay, I'm just going to start talking. So writer's block, yes. Writer's block, the first step, I have actually a little 3-step thing to take you through for writer's block, which writer's block is an interesting thing because we notice it a lot when we sit down to try to write. But what ends up happening is when you deal with your writer's block, you realize that you're dealing with other blocks in your life. Things that may have blocked you before start to kind of come together and become up to your awareness and help you learn and grow in other ways. So recognizing what writer's block really is the first step. And all it is fear. And fear, for the most part, I mean, assuming you're not, standing in front of a rattlesnake who's about to bite you, okay, that's real fear. But generally speaking, in terms of writer's block, it's a fake fear. It's things like, well, what if something goes wrong? What if I do the whole thing wrong? What if I can't do this? What if I started and I can't finish it? And all these things start going through your head and make you spin out. And so what you end up doing is you end up saying, you know what, I think I'm just going to go put a load of laundry in and not worry about this right now. So I want you to think that maybe what that fear is really asking you is, who will I be if this book succeeds? Because putting a book out there is kind of like giving birth. You're creating something new that didn't exist before. And when you put it out into the world, it's a real thing. And then, who might notice you, who might see you, who would you be if you're now an author? But I'm here to tell you it's pretty cool. So getting over that hurdle is really awesome. You will never be able to go back to saying I'm not an author. You will always be able to say you are an author, and it's a wonderful feeling. And it's fun when people read your book and tell you, I read your book. Oh, it was so good. You really helped me. That feels really good. So I have a little action step to help you get past that initial fear that rears its ugly head the second you start thinking about getting that book out of your head that's going around and around and down onto the page. And that it sounds hokey, but honestly, journal it. Journal all your fears down. Don't censor anything. Just write them all down, no matter how completely ridiculous they sound. If I dreamed about a monster last night that was trying to eat me with book pages, put it down on your journal. No one is ever going to see it except you. And it helps you kind of realize how out of control fear can get for no real actual reason. And a little thing that I've used I'm the world's worst artist, just so you know, but I draw silly, ridiculous little pictures and try to kind of artist out that fear in weird little ways. But I always know no one's ever going to see it. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being a sucky artist. So once you recognize where your fear is sneaking in, you can just stop it cold, because you can go, you know what, this is just that silly fear illusion, and I'm not going to do that today. And you can move forward. So the way you get this to work for you instead of against you is by the little journaling process. Helps to calm you down. And many times you can find yourself laughing at your fears. And every time you do that, you grow a little bit. So it just becomes a better pattern. Instead of spinning out into fear, you can spin into a more positive way of going, yeah, this is kind of ridiculous. I'm just going to move forward. Now, step 2, for all of you out there who are going to write your books, I know you are, is to understand how writer's block manifests. Now, I'm here to tell you writer's block is sneaky, underhanded, and insidious. It gets in the strangest ways, and it can block you in other areas of your life as well. It's just the weirdest phenomenon, but it's real. And the first part is the fear, but the second part is to understand that every single person on the face of this planet has a voice of an inner critic in their heads. And that inner critic voice is constantly saying, you're not good enough. You can't do that. Who do you think you are? You're stepping too far out of your comfort zone. Oh, what are you thinking? And etc. and so on ad nauseum. And so there's a very simple trick to getting your inner critic voice to quiet down. And this is it. Just tell it to shut up. I'm not kidding. Just say, you know what? This is just my inner critic. Shut up. Because who cares if I suck at first? Who cares if my fledgling writing isn't perfect? Who cares? No one's going to see it. And every little secret, no writer, no matter who they are, not even Stephen King or Shakespeare or any of them, ever has a good first draft. It doesn't exist. It's an illusion. It's a lie that they can sit down and gold comes out of their fingertips. It doesn't happen. First drafts are always terrible. So it's okay. Just let it be okay. Let it be okay. Dare to suck big and just tell your inner critic to shut up and move on anyway, even if it's bad. And another thing is, if you are finding yourself going, you know, I think I better do the laundry, and oh look, I think I'll dust that picture that I haven't dusted in the last. How did this happen? Sorry, haven't dusted in the last 3 years. Those are signs that your inner critic is taking control of you. So just get control of it. The action step, as I said, is tell it to shut up. Seriously. I know it sounds simple, but it works. And the way it works for you is that you get better at standing in your power. You get better at saying, I'm okay just the way I am. And what if people like my book? And what if people think it's good? And what if it helps somebody overcome a problem that they have? So your voice is important, and tell yourself, my voice is important. And inner critic, you can be quiet. Okay, I know I'm a little nerdy, but I admit I'm a big book nerd, so it's okay. So step 3, now this, I sort of touched on it on the last one, but step 3 is I call it my free write technique. In the world of screenwriting, you'll hear it called writing your vomit draft. And a free write is very simple. As I said, your first draft is going to be bad. It just will. Accept it and be okay with it, because that's what editing is for. But that comes way down the road. You have to get your first draft down on paper first. So that's where the free write comes in. You give yourself permission to write every idea that is spinning in your head for your book down on paper. Don't worry about anything at this point. Don't worry about if you can't spell, or if it's not in order, or you might want to move stories that you have that illustrate a point to a different section. Don't worry about any of that. Just write it down and worry about that later. Because what happens is when you start allowing your brain to channel through your hands and get those ideas down, you might find you can't even stop writing, that it just flows. That's what we call being in the zone. And Oh, it feels so good because you just feel like you're on fire with creativity. It's just awesome. And it also helps your inner critic to be quiet because inner critic voices usually can't be heard through that zone when you're in that zone, which is very nice. So your free write action step to get you started is to practice on something non-threatening. Books can be big and scary, and so they're a little threatening to start out with, unless you're really ready, unless you really know, just start writing. But you can start with something simple like a grocery list or a blog or really anything, even in your journal. And the permission you give yourself is just to write it all down and not censor yourself no matter what. And every time you do that, you get better at it, so that when you are ready to write your book, it's going to come a lot easier. It's going to flow a lot better, and that'll make you happy. And your readers, your potential readers, will be very happy that you did that. And what really benefits you is you're going to just be amazed at how much dyslexic tongue, how much easier writing becomes for you as you just let yourself sink into the process and enjoy it. So that is basically my tips for how to get around writer's block and really start making it work for you. First, you recognize what it is, which is just an imaginary fear that's really not a fear, because it's not like a rattlesnake is going to jump out and bite you. You understand that it's just your inner critic voice and tell it to shut up. And then you free write everything. Just practice. Free write things that are non-threatening to start. And when you're ready to start writing pages, free write them and give yourself permission to get that first draft done. Oh, and Lynda, I do have a bonus tip for getting past writer's block. And that is one thing that really, really, really helps is to understand, especially when you're dealing with a nonfiction book, because nonfiction is a whole different animal from fiction. And knowing how to prep a nonfiction book can simplify everything down. Prep is all about knowing exactly who your audience is that you're talking to. Like, for example, I had a teacher who was actually a friend of mine when I was a teacher, and she's a special ed teacher. And she didn't know whether to write her book for parents or for other teachers in the classroom or for other special ed teachers, because she was kind of at a really advanced level and did a lot of training for special ed teachers. So when we worked it through, she decided to focus on parents, and just that one thing helped her realize how to focus her book, because the way that she would speak to parents is completely different than the way she would speak to other teachers in the classroom, or the way she'd speak to other special ed teachers who would understand everything she said. So prepping is a big, helpful thing, and you can do it in about a day or a week if you're just starting out and you want to do it in little tiny baby steps, and then you're ready to go. So that's pretty much it. Just take care of the fear and move on. Do you have any questions?
I apologize. My internet I've gotten kicked off 7 times during this, and I'm so glad you were a professional. I mean, you just kept going. That's so awesome.
Thank you.
So I love this. If I got it right, for the times that I was able to tap in here, I got, step 1 is to journal your fears. Step 2 is to get rid of your inner critic. And step 3 is to stand in your power. And those will eventually pop up on the screen. It's just a slow connection for me here. But did I get those right?
Yeah. But yes, that's pretty accurate. Yeah. Standing in your power with the free write technique that just allows you to just get it all down on paper without, we tend to jump into editing. We go, oh, that word's not good enough. I need a different word. And then we thesaurus ourselves to death, and then we get stuck and bogged down and we stop. So just say, this word is good enough for now. I'm moving on. And allow that. Yeah. Just free write it. Just keep going until you get that first draft done. Which helps you to stand in your power. And I lost you again, Lynda. But another thing that is very helpful with not only with
I'm back.
Another thing that's really helpful is to understand that in terms of a way you approach your book is that the writing process itself is all about you as the author. It's all about you. It's all about your process, how you think, how you write, how you approach it, everything. But the book, the content in the book is about your reader. So books, if you've ever had the misfortune of reading a book that was, it's talking all about the author. Yes, we want a bio. Yes, we want to know how you came here. But if the whole book is all about, look at me, those don't work. So the content.
Well, it's interesting because, because I think I'd have to go back and read my book again. But I think a lot of my book is about me. But to that point there, like I wrote the book for me because I had a fear of writing a book. So I wrote this book. Well, my mentor said, you need to write a book because I faced a fear every single day for a year. And he's like, you need to write a book about that. So I'm like, okay. So I write a book called The Year of Fears. And oh my God, it was so scary to actually sit down and write it. And then when I finally made my decision that, okay, this is it. I wrote it in 2 weeks and got it, out on Amazon in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But it was that making that decision. It was making through that.
Yes. And also, Lynda, your book was different because you weren't writing a book that's an expert book is usually when someone is an expert in their field and they are writing a book that solves a problem for their readers. Your book was a journey of discovery. And the way that it helps people is realizing that if you can do it, then they can do it, that they can face their fears. And because you did it, and you not only did you do it, but you wrote a book about it. So it makes their fears seem a lot less
scary,
dramatic in comparison. So that your book is an inspirational book. So that's a little bit of a different thing. And so I totally love the book, by the way. I read it. It's really good. I found it very inspirational.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Well, what's cool is when I wrote the book, really, it was about me writing the book, facing a fear of writing a book. And so I did. I wrote that book. I put it out there. I was at this networking event, and this woman came running to me the other side of the room. And she was like, Lynda Sunshine. I'm like, am I supposed to know this person? Because I didn't recognize her at all. But she ran over to me like we had known each other for years, And she said, I got your book and I read the first 14 pages and I've already broken through 5 fears. And I almost cried because I said, that's why I wrote this book. And I didn't even know. I wrote it for me, but it was so much more than that. And it's so awesome to be part of that in somebody's life. And that's why people, you need to write that book that's inside of you. By you not putting it out there, there's somebody's life out there who's waiting for you to write that book, right, Kristy?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. If you have an idea for a book, I fully believe that idea is yours to write, because we all have different ideas, and it's your book, it's yours to write. So yeah, you're doing the world a disservice by not facing your fear and just tackling it, and it's doable. It's very doable. It's easier than you think. It's just, most people get this part of their inner critic voice is their high school English teacher telling them how terrible they are. You can't write at all. And really that has nothing to do with writing a book at all. So yeah.
And that's so true because I give an example of recently, I just attended one of those.
I lost you, Lynda. Well, I want to hear what Lynda attended and find out this story. So there she is.
The story continues.
Yeah.
I attended one of those, those women, wine women wealth kind of like painting parties and stuff. And I went in there thinking, I'm not an artist. I can't draw anything, but I'll go there anyway because I was supporting one of my clients in my mastermind program. And when I walked out of there, I was like, oh my God, I actually love my painting. am an artist for 56 years. I'm 56 years old. For 56 years, I have been telling this story that I can't paint. So how many are out there telling yourselves this story? I can't write. I always used to say the same thing too. I said I have had so many negative comments about myself for so long, beating myself up and just telling myself I can't do this, I can't do that. And now I'm writing and I'm painting and I'm doing artistic things that I always said I couldn't do. So you don't know what you can't do if you don't try it. And so what I would love for you to do, Kristy, is I want you to tell everybody about, you have a free video series called How to Write and Totally Crush Your Expert Book While Still Running Your Business and Having a Life. So why don't you tell us what that's all about, what they're going to get out of it by signing up. It is free. The link is right there, livinglifeinc.com/new author. I also put it in the comments. So why don't you tell us about that, what it's all about and what they're going to get from that.
Well, the videos cover several things. I try to pack them with lots of information because when I go into a webinar or something and they don't tell me what they say they're going to tell me, it kind of bugs me. So I try to really deliver. And we go into some of the blocks. We go into how to clear the blocks. We go into the beginning of the prep. I actually did the beginning of the prep, which I touched on slightly here today, to help people start to get thinking about how they could focus their book and start to feel motivated to write. And we go into the number one biggest thing that you must do to make your book fly. If you make that mistake, it's bad because it'll tank your book. And some of the little insider secrets that I'm trying to get people to understand, that it's really not as difficult. You don't have to spend 20 years learning how to write a book, especially if you have a guide. I mean, it's just like anything else. If you want to learn how to do something, if you wanted to learn how to be a pilot, you got to have somebody teach you how to be a pilot. If you want to learn how to swim, you need a swimming coach. So writing is very similar. Writing a nonfiction book is very doable. Fiction is a different animal. Fiction takes a lot more because there are so many elements that go into fiction that to make that plot work and make people keep turning the pages. But nonfiction is a lot, much, much easier. And one of the biggest misconceptions is that you have to put every bit of information that you know about your subject into your book. That's a big mistake because you end up with a book that's a big, fat, heavy monster of a book nobody wants to read, because this world has changed. It's a world of tweets and texts and instant messages, and people want to know the answer to their problem right now, quick. And they don't want to page through a bunch of stuff that doesn't apply to them. So I teach how to do that and how to really focus your topics so that people are getting the information they need right now. And then they love you. That's how you build fans. You're solving a problem for them that they need solved. And when you're the one that does that, you're the one they love. They'll tell people about you. They'll recommend you. They'll find you if you have a service-based business, because you're the one who wrote the book that helped them. And that's a good place to be in. So, Lynda, are you there? Okay, I'll keep going. Oh, there she is.
I'm back.
There you are.
Well, I'm back. Okay, I'm back, but I hit the wrong button that time. Awesome. I love that because, I feel the same way too about, there's so many programs out there where, they get us on this free video series and they don't tell anything. And really it's a way to get you into their mail list, which I understand, because we are in business. We do need to capture these leads. We need to find people who are interested in what we have to offer them. But we also need to show them how we're going to teach. Because if your teaching style isn't one that they like, then why would they want to spend that, invest that money and time into themselves. So when we give them something, at least give them something.
Yes.
Maybe you're not going to write their book for them, but give them something, give those tools and tricks. Because for those who are listening, who are business owners, because most people will not do it. About 90% of the people won't even do what you're giving them. You give them everything and they're not going to do it. And that's actually what created my mastermind program, is to help those who buy all these programs and they don't do them. It gives them that time and that space to be able to actually do those programs. So
that's wonderful.
Go check it out, you guys. livinglife.com/new author. Check it out. Free video series is going to walk you through this. I love it. Kristy, congratulations. I met you at a networking event, I know about 4 months ago or something.
Yes.
And you connected back then, and we finally have you on the show. Excited to have you. You have a lot of
oh, we're having technical difficulties on this show today. Yes, Lynda, to answer your question, yes, that's why I'm not one to dump somebody into an online course and just say, oh, just figure it out. I'm very hands-on. I'm lots and lots and lots of live coaching with me present where people can ask questions. I have a secret Facebook group just for my people because we're dealing with intellectual property. So I wanted a safer place besides anything on Facebook that other people could see, to be able to post things that they're working on and get feedback, so that all the way through the process they're getting support all the way to editing and publishing.
Important.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so important, because we need that encouragement sometimes to keep going, or when we are feeling that inner critic, right? That to say something, or if you say something out loud, there's somebody there that might have needed to hear that, but not only that, get to share with.
Yes, you never know what you might say that someone else needed to hear, which is why a book like yours, where you're dealing with your own fear, resonates with people, because everybody's dealing with fear. Some people more than others, obviously, are in the state that our world is in, but in terms of this kind of fear of growth, fear of building your business, fear of writing a book, especially, it's an imaginary fear. It's really just about your growth. It's not about something going to jump out and bite you, or anything else. So, yeah.
You want to talk about fear? I can talk about it for a year. That's a topic I can talk a lot about. So with that, I'm going to end the broadcast right now, because I think I've gotten dumped off of here about 11 times now. And so, I'm counting, But Kristy, thank you so much for those. I love, the tip that you did, that you gave. And then you guys go to her livinglife.com/new author. Go to that free video series, check it out, and write your book.
Please write your book.
It's in there.
Yeah.
It's ready. It's ready to be birthed.
If it's here, it's ready. Thank you, Lynda.
That's right. It's ready to come out.
Yep.
You have a great day, and thank you so much, Kristy. And see you at that next networking event.
Yes, definitely.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.